Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about parasites. Uh, Before that, let's look at the definition of parasite. A parasite, an organism that lives in or on an organism of another species, its hosts, and benefits by depriving nutrients at the other's expense. Now that we know what a parasite is, then we're going to move on to a prime example of what a social and political parasite is. Right? Here we are. Sex scene experts help reshape Hollywood power dynamics in #MeToo era. Since Hollywood sex abuse relations ignited the #MeToo movement 5 years ago, demand for on-set intimacy coordinators. There was a demand for someone to coordinate pretend scenes. Like, has soared, but resistance, power imbalances, and a fear of saying no if you're working a job and you're working for someone else and you have a boss, there's always going to be resistance, power imbalances, and a fear of saying no. This is not a problem. It is just a fact of the situation, and there's no way to get rid of it. Say, are deeply rooted in show business, experts say. Expert on what? What the hell is this? I will assume that this is not two men holding each other, and that's maybe a pregnant woman. Maybe. Those hands, though. All right. A fledgling industry of professionals who choreograph intimate scenes, provide equipment to safeguard actors' privates, and discuss the consent with filmmakers has grown rapidly since 2017. Investigation into Harvey Weinstein forced a wider reckoning. These people literally created their own job opportunities based on a political ideology. They forced themselves into an industry by saying, oh, they're just investigating certain problems or they're concerned about a certain problem, and they single-handedly created their own profession. It has been an amazing difference in that when it was first introduced, there was a lot of resistance from the industry, from directors and some actors, producers, said Claire Warden, a New York-based intimacy coordinator. You're promoting your own job. So obviously, you're going to say it's amazing. Warden estimates around 60 to 80 experts are now working on sets. That is a lot of people for a made-up job. And she's working with intimacy directors and coordinators, IDC, to quickly train more. Oh my God. After years of yelling into the void and pushing as hard as we could in the industry to educate the industry has started listening. She said, "You created a fucking job, you useless. You don't give a shit about whatever you think you're talking against. You just wanted to get paid to woman-splain at people." Before 2017, intimacy directors, it's directors now, they're making it more and more professional, existed primarily in theater and were conspicuously absent in film and television. Oh, so their occupation had a hard cap and on that they can only work in theaters. So they tried to find a way to break into the film industry so they can get more money and more job opportunities. And then 2017 comes around and Harvey Weinstein just plop right in their laps, and they're like, "Oh, the grift is on." Oh my God. On one of the first major shifts from HBO, which in the aftermath of Weinstein allegations brought an intimacy expert. How did you become a fucking expert of a made-up job onto the set of The Deuce? I've never seen that. An explicit show about the industry in 1970s New York. Okay. Since then, the network has expanded its policy to require intimacy coordinators on all of its shows. Are they doing this to avoid a lawsuit? Because potentially, because of the situation, actresses, because it's going to be actresses, like it's not much an actor can do in that situation. Actresses could say, post getting a paycheck, that the job that they did had a very strong emotional impact on them, and now they want to sue to protect other women from going through certain experiences, because it's been years or maybe a couple months since they had a last job and they're worried about the future for their career and no one is giving them work. So they decided on this grift of emotional damage in order to now make money by suing for a past job where they now feel like it's hurt them. I'm just paraphrasing. And at specialized equipment companies, strapless thongs, padded pouches, and silicone barriers as well as body tapes in various skin tones are all on offer. In the recent Variety interview, 25-year-old Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney said she has never felt uncomfortable thanks to the constant presence of intimacy coordinators. Was she talking about the intimacy coordinators? Because if anybody would make me feel uncomfortable, it'd be these weirdos. It's a very safe environment. I'm very fortunate that I am coming up during a time where there's so much thought in this process, she said. Your job is freaking useless. It doesn't add anything to, listen, this is how occupations work, all right? There's a demand for a certain thing, right? And then someone creates a way in order to fill that demand. And every job and every person involved in that process adds to fulfilling the demand and therefore adding to the profits. Intimacy coordinators, on the other hand, or emotional predators, don't actually add anything into the process. They're parasites. They're taking money away from filmmakers and people that work in the film industry without actually adding anything to the process. Even if you have agreed to something, they ask you on the spot, on the day, did you change your mind? Because you can. It's really nice. What? If I was a director, I would just do away with this with the sex scene. Just get rid of it. This is too much bullshit for a throwaway scene that doesn't really add anything. Just fade to black. Imply it or something. Like Warden, others in the industry argue the progress around consent is long overdue, while recent events have shown that not all welcome the new roles. Of course not, because you have not progressed consent to anything except for paperwork. You've taken away something that used to just be implied based on someone's actions. You can imply that someone consented to something based on how the fact that they are actually doing it or they're going along with it or whatever. Now you've taken that away and you make it now a legal issue where it has to be now documented that they have consent, or else they can come back later and take legal action and said they didn't consent to something retroactively. You've progressed consent that used to be just a normal part of life to now an issue that people have to literally protect themselves against someone else. Just like when people learn that they can literally sue someone if they get hit by a car or something, even if it's based on their own negligence, they can sue somebody for that. Then you get a bunch of people jumping in front of vehicles in order to sue the insurance company or something like that. Now you have people that after they learn that they can now sue people and get money from people that are rich by implying that they have no consent or they because of a power dynamic. Now, because of that grift, now you've created a situation where people literally have to protect themselves from these parasites with the help of parasites. In the same Variety interview, Yellow Jackets actor Christina Ricci, 42, revealed that she once informed a movie set she was uncomfortable with an intimate scene and they threatened to sue me if I didn't do it. Probably because it wasn't your contract and you agreed to it. You lying. Why would they sue you and threaten you to do a scene unless you already agreed to it and they had a contract saying that you agreed to it? You probably agreed to it, they paid you, and then you decided that at the last minute, I don't really feel like doing this. This could hurt my career. So that's why they threatened to sue you. But let's ignore that and pretend that because you just felt intimidated and they're just bad people. It's not that actors suddenly start speaking up in 2017. We've been speaking for ages, just no one was listening. The industry was actively trying to silence those voices. Listen, if I've got a bunch of annoying people constantly being wishy-washy and agreeing to things and going back on it, I think they're doing you a favor by silencing those voices. Because if people knew you were like that, they wouldn't want to work with you. Actors are often taught, God damn it, this word is difficult. Taught, there we go, to ignore or forgo their right to consent and that no is a dangerous word, she said. By who? Who is teaching that? Did you just make up a problem just there? We are conditioned that you will be called a diva, that you won't get jobs, that no one will work with you. If you're difficult, yes. But if you're saying no, literally to the things that people are hiring you for, then yes, they would say that you're a diva and they don't want to work with you because you're difficult to work with at that point. It's not unreasonable. Intimacy coordinators also told AFP they are still overcoming fears that their presence could stifle creativity or expose cast or crew to perils of cancel culture. Yes. They add nothing to the process, and they are also a danger. So yes, because of the historical backdrop of Harvey Weinstein, who gave you a job, a lot of people were afraid that they were being perceived as predators. I don't think they're afraid of being perceived as predators, or more like they're afraid that people might see an opportunity to remove them from a position so that they can move up in whatever job that is, or simply to get money off of them, or maybe as a emotional thing, maybe a revenge, or they don't like you, or they just don't think they just feel it's like a good way to get attention or something. So there's multiple reasons why people can do the exact same actions, and being perceived as a predator can also be a detriment as well. Who has amassed 500,000 followers? God damn it. Jessica Steinrock? Who the hell is that? She has amassed 500,000 followers discussing intimacy coordinator work on TikTok. So she's an advocate for this made up job. Rather than acting as an arm of human resources, intimacy coordinators exist to reduce risk and improve performances in this. How do you improve? Way stunt coordinator does. I think the exponential growth in the last few years has been painful for many, but really rewarding overall. Oh, this time rock chick again. Toxic. Still there. Why was that the heading for the next book? Still, there are high-profile holdouts. Earlier this year, actor Frank Langella was fired from Netflix The Fall of the House of Usher for, is it about Usher? For alleged unacceptable conduct on set, included harassment of an actress. In a column for Deadline, he blasted an intimacy coordinator's instructions about where he could touch the actress on her leg during an intimate scene as absurd and ludicrous. I would say that would be absurd and ludicrous if he's supposed to be acting and doing the scene in a certain way, then to tell him that he has to do it this way, like you're pretty much directing his acting at that point. So I would say it's absurd and ludicrous. It undermines instinct and spontaneity. Exactly. Which ruin his acting. That this could reflect on him as an actor if it looks weird during an actual scene, if he's just being robotic and he's just following someone else's instructions. So there's a reasonable thing for him to say, because this person is just inserting themselves into a situation so they can get paid by telling him a bunch of nonsense that he doesn't really need, just so they can legitimize their own job. But like, how do you use this to somehow blast him? But so he was doing the scene, and he was acting whatever it was, and the actress felt uncomfortable by it, so she accused him of this, and he was fired because of it. I'm hoping there was more to the situation than him just getting released, because it could simply be that one actress simply saw an opportunity, or the intimacy coordinator, who didn't like the things that he said, manipulated said actress by making her believe that she was harassed by him, and therefore she put forward an allegation or the intimacy coordinator put forward an allegation on her behalf. And in order to simply let the problem go away, in order to not get sued, the director or whoever is in charge of this decided to just let him go in order to solve the problem, because they couldn't let her go, because then it becomes an even bigger problem. I'm just guessing, but that seems like what likely happened. All right. But for Warden reading that op-ed, it is clear that his resistance does not come from lack of understanding. That comes from a lack of willingness to consider other people's consent. That comes from toxic sense of entitlement. Entitlement? He's a fucking actor. I think he would know more about acting. And Steinrock said, intimacy coordinators alone cannot solve the type of harassment illustrated by Weinstein. Are they going to try to create a new job then? Whose abuses did not generally occur on film sets? Were they going to coordinate life now? The way we treat scenes of intimacy is going to have a ripple effects in every other way about how we talk consensually, how we prepare for things, how actors see their own bodily autonomy. What a bunch of words. But I think it's important that we don't treat intimacy coordinators as a panacea. No one does that for all of the power and harassment or abuse of power that happens in the entertainment industry over the last century. So there you have it. Parasites. Until next time.